Hiya and welcome to the sewing channel. I'm gonna make a bandana dress today. I'm gonna show you how. The fun bit is that it requires quite a lot of bandanas, and I was so lucky to buy them used off somebody who probably thought that she was gonna make a bandana dress, and now I'm gonna make a bandana dress because she didn't do it. So I have a plan. Maybe you want to see over here, because these bandanas, yeah, they're kind of on the small side, and you have to see how big you are and how they fit. I have 15 of them, and I'm going to make one that is mixed with green, dark green and gray. So I'm going to have a main bandana for the front body. So I'm going to start with one bandana for the body, and then I'm going to have a tier here that consists of 2 bandanas, and then I'm going to have a tier down here that consists of 3 bandanas. And yes, I know that I'm really good at drawing. Then when you get it made, it's like it wrinkles, and you have these 2 layers where there's just lots of ruffles, lots of gatherings. But basically I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to use 1 for the sleeve, but that's going to be folded, so that's basically just half one on either side and half one on the other side. So that was 6, and then plus 7 on the front and 7 on the back to make a dress, and I have 15. So I actually think I'm gonna add a little bit of some extra fabric here, because I want it a little bit wider, a little bit looser in the body. So that's my plan. I hope it makes sense to you. So first of all, I'm gonna place them approximately how I want them. The bottom tier consists of 3 bandanas on the front and 3 bandanas on the back. So I'm gonna start sewing them together first. And I'm just gonna take 3 gray ones, 2 dark greens and 3 greens, and I'm gonna have them over here. They are my bottom pile, bottom layer pile. For the middle layer, I have 2 in front, 2 in the back. So I'm going to have, what am I going to have? 2 greens and 1 dark green and 1 gray. And then for the front body, I'm going to have a dark green. For the back body, I'm going to have a light green. And then I'm going to use this green to chop up to add a little bit of extra volume down the sides. And then I'm going to use the 2 gray ones for the sleeves. Ooh, and they actually might be a little bit long. I think you could just half these and then just actually have 1 left over, and then just have half a sleeve, if you see what I mean. So you don't use an entire sleeve. If you use 1 bandana for an entire sleeve, it's pretty long. So if you just use half one, it's actually a kind of short mid-length sleeve dress. I think I'm going to do that instead. So one of these gray bandanas just goes over there, and that was my middle, that was my bottom, that was my front and my back, and the extra width and the sleeves. Okay, I'm going to start sewing them together, starting with the bottom one, and I'm just going to get my serger, because this can be kind of quick. Okay, so to put these 6 bandanas together for the bottom layer, I'm placing them front of fabric towards front of fabric, and then so the edges are aligned, and then I'm just sewing them together with my serger. And I'm trying to place them in like random color order. Front of fabric towards front of fabric. And sometimes it's actually a little bit hard to see what the front of the fabric is. And then you can see here that actually the sizes aren't exactly the same, that yeah, things that are made by yeah, by factory, it's just nothing's completely straight. So it's okay if what you make isn't completely straight, because things you buy actually aren't either. And what am I missing? Did I not count them right? 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's because I mixed my piles around. I'm just gonna steal one from over here. I'm gonna add the last green one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 we got on now, and I've got 5 and 6 here. Wow, this is smooth. Last green one. Front to front of the fabric. And then we've got a super long, I almost feel like a magician, a super long scarf. And we've got the nice edge here where the edges are, yeah, they're aligned pretty much. And I'm placing the 2 ends, front of fabric towards front of fabric, and then I'm stitching them together or sewing them together as well. Cool. Now we've got a huge wide tube, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to fold it up nicely. So we have the ends, or the end where the edges are aligned, fold it up neatly here. Then you can see, okay, this is where all the edges, yeah, all the ends that aren't aligned are. And that doesn't really work when we are going to stitch it onto the middle layer. So I'm just gonna, it seems like it's just this one that is a little bit longer than the others. So I'm just gonna cut that approximately. Yeah, that's good enough. Cool. That's the bottom one done for now. And here was my 1, 2, 3, 4. The middle layer, that consists of 4. Again, I'm going to do exactly the same as before. Place the fabric front to front. And I actually just put these together so random that I'm now going to have the 2 green ones up against each other. So that's super random that they actually they're just up against one another. That wasn't supposed to happen, but it's okay. I'll place them so it will be fine. And again, I'm making this into a tube as well, stitching the sides together. And I'm just checking here because I've kept all the edges aligned up against each other while sewing on one side, and then I'm going to check the other one here. Do we have any that are a lot longer than the others? And actually we only have this green one that is a little bit longer, not as much as the other one. So I'm just quickly gonna chop that off. So we have middle layer, and you can see here how wide it actually is going to be. There's going to be quite a lot of ruffling here. That's gonna look pretty cool. And then it's time to make the body. And what did I decide? I decided a dark green one for the front and a dark green one for the back. And when I feel like when I try to put it on top of my body, I can feel that here around the chest, it's gonna be tight. And of course I am gonna add some sleeves, but I'm a little bit worried that it's actually gonna be too tight, and I want it to be very loose and flowy. So that is why that I'm going to cut this one up to add a little bit of extra. And I don't want the edge bit here, the made in China 100% cotton bit. I think I'm going to cut that off and actually use where the nice pattern is. So I'm going to make one band here and one band here. And I can just place it on top of each other, so I'm sure that they have approximately the same width. So these are my leftovers for now. So I have made 4 of these, one for this side on the front, one for this side on the back, and one for this side on the front, one for this side on the front, and the 2 for the backs as well. So I'm going to add them to this dark green one. So exciting. And I do feel like this is kind of a this is a summery kind of dress, but because of the green, it's actually gonna be cool for Christmas as well, I think. Well, you can wear whatever you want at any time, unless you're worried about being cold. So this is my front. That's what it's going to look like. Now it's going to be plenty wide now. It's going to be nice and loose. And this is really not like a square. This is much more of a rectangle. But I'm just gonna see. Okay, they are not the same size. That's all good. One done. The other one on here. So I had the one that I was going to use for my sleeves, that's over here, and that's going to be chopped in half here. So I'm just going to fold it up and cut it here along the center fold. I've got two pieces, now 3 pieces, and they are going to go on here as a sleeve. So to put these on, I need to sew the 2 pieces front and back together. And I'm going to make a nice neckline afterwards, so I'm just going to start by just making a small hole for my head, and then I'm going to make that look nicer afterwards. So first of all, I'm going to fold it to find the center where I want the middle of the neck opening to be. Then I'm going to add some pins here. I'm going to add a pin to where I think the shoulder point is going to be, and I can always alter this afterwards. So that's one side of the shoulder point, and then I'm going to add a pin in the same place, but on the other side of, my head basically. So this will be my head opening to start with, and that can be changed for now. I'm not cutting anything off, so nice and easy, no harm done yet. And I'm not going to use my serger for this. I'm going to just use my normal sewing machine. If I can get the foot pedal to come. Off with the pin. That was one side, the other. Pin off. now you can see that, yeah, that these pieces weren't exactly the same size, but I have the middle, and I'm going to cut here so they are the same size on both sides of the shoulder point. So now I can actually do this if I've made the hole big enough. Okay, I haven't. What?
For a child?
I can't do that. Okay. It's fine. It's cool. Because I have my very good seam ripper. So, and I said that this was just like, this isn't done, this is going to be altered, you know, so much can happen, and so much does happen. So I'm just going to rip open the seams a little bit so I can just get it over my head, hopefully. We do have big heads in our family.
That's my favourite tool.
Your favourite tool?
Yeah, that one.
Yes, it is good. Like, it's a really good, it's a good big seam ripper, and it's kind of nice to hold. Sometimes you can get these little flimsy ones and they're sharp and they're fine, but big heads and big hands, I don't know, they fits better. So now, oh, much better. So basically, this is a very quick tryout, but I'm glad that I added some extra width here, because yes, if not, it would have gotten too tight. It wouldn't have been comfortable if I at all would have been able to get it on. And now it feels like, yes, this is a good size to add the sleeves from. But I'm actually thinking, do I want to shorten it a little bit? Because I'm going to add all the layers, all the ruffles from here. And it's a kind of a low point for the ruffles to start. I think I want them to start close up here to my chest. So if I'm going to cut approximately here, where the print ends, I think it will fit what I want a little bit better. So that's what I'm going to do as well. So I'm folding it first, and just cutting away this bottom bit where it's a little bit too long. And now it's time to put on a sleeve. So one sleeve, which was half a bandana. I find the front of the fabric, try to see if I can see it. Okay, it's this bit. So I place the front of the fabric towards the front of the top and back. I find the middle and place that right here in the center seam that I just made when I stitched the two sides, front and back, together. And then I'm folding it out like this. So basically, I'm going to stitch it together here where we have the raw edges that I've cut, where I've cut the fabric, and I'm keeping this edge out here towards the opening of the sleeve because that's already nice and done, so I don't have to do very much to that. So I'm going to take some wonder clips and just put it on here. So now the sleeve is attached, and I think I'm going to do that with the serger. Just quick and on with that. Great. That was one sleeve on. Awesome. I'm going to do the same for the other arm opening. I'm going to find the front of the fabric. Yes, now I know where it is. I'm going to fold it exactly in half, and I'm placing the fold right where the seam I just made is, perfectly. And I'm going to open it up completely, check that the front of the sleeve fabric and the front of the top front and back fabric is also facing up in towards each other. Wonder clips on, and then that goes into the machine as well. you check it out like this, it's not sewn together, of course, but you can see the idea. And now's the time, if you want to adjust, if you want to make it smaller somehow, you can just see how this fits, or if maybe you want to make your sleeve shorter or something. But this is good enough for me for now. I'm placing the top with the sleeves, front of fabric towards front of fabric, and I'm yeah, putting the sleeve here aligned nice. So what we have here is the side of the top bit, and then under the sleeve, and then the sleeve opening. That's of course going to stay open. So I'm going to sew from the bottom here of the side up, make a nice nice curve, or you can make a sharp edge if you prefer that. I'm going to make a curve and then sew here and then end it where the sleeve opening starts. That's going to be the side done, one side done. So you can see now the side, a nice little curve under the arm, sleeve, side of the sleeve, I don't know what it's called, and then the sleeve opening. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Okay, and there was just a little bit I forgot to cut off. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. Now it's actually a proper top. And I'm trying it on top of another boxy top, but luckily that's very light and flowy. Okay, I can get my head through the opening, which is great, but of course there's no shape to this opening because it is just a straight line from the bandana. So I'm going to pretend, no, I'm not going to do it with a pin, I'm going to do it with a safety pin instead. So I'm going to pretend you're my mirror and that I can see myself. And I'm going to feel, okay, where do I want my opening of this neckline to be? Okay, this is a good place. I'm going to find the middle of that, and I'm just going to make sure that I don't pin the top I'm already wearing. But yes, this is a good place for this. So I'm going to just put a safety pin in here to mark that, and then I can take it off again, maybe. Okay, so. And then I gotta show you what you do then. Actually, just taking it so the back of the fabric is facing out. And we have our sleeve open, we have our neck opening here. We have the sleeves. I hope you can see what it is that I'm doing. And this is where I put the pin to mark how far down I wanted it at the front. I'm just going to fold it here. So I have the center of my front and the center of my back. And I have a green crayon that doesn't really work on this green fabric. But this is where I want the front neckline to be, where I have that pin. And you can see here, okay, I've taken it, taken the thread up all the way to here. So I should actually, even out the curve like this. Okay, so that's a nice curve. And then I want a little bit of seam allowance. So of course I'm not going to cut all the way down to this line. I'm going to cut a little bit above it. And then the thing is, with the back, I'm not going to go as deep as I do in the front. So I'm probably just going to do half of that and then go to there. And the good thing is that the back I can cut while both layers are lying here. I'm just going to cut the back, and then with the front I will just cut one side first. Be sure that you don't cut through both layers, and give a little bit of seam allowance approximately to here, and then I'm just going to fold this over and then follow where this little bit of fabric is. Okay, so now I have my neck opening. I'm going to take the pin out, and it's going to look better if I just fold it out to front. So first of all, it's important to stitch this up tack together, because I just ripped those seams open, so that means that they're going to keep opening and opening unless I stitch them back together. Okay, so these seams I've just ripped open in the shoulder, along the shoulder. I'm going to stitch them back together so that they don't rip even more. That was one side done, and the other one. Cool. So we have these raw edges now in the sleeve opening, which are they're gonna fray a lot, and yes, I want to do something to them so they look nicer. So I've just got this very narrow cotton bias tape that I'm going to put on, because that's an easy way to finish this this opening off. So I'm opening the bias tape, and the bias tape, it has like 2 lines, and I'm just opening this one up, and I'm then going to fold in the edge so we don't have a raw edge sitting there peeking out. I'm going to fold this in, and then basically I'm going to take my neck opening and I'm going to attach it here, so the edge of the bias tape and the edge of the bandana fabric are aligned, and then I'm going to stitch all around the neck opening in that little line there. And I'm of course not going to do it with my serger, but with the sewing machine. So now it's in the machine, so now you just have to follow it around, and align them as much as possible. You can also make this bias tape yourself, and if you made it of bandana fabric, that would of course be very cool. So that was one side done, the front or the back. I don't quite remember which one I took actually. And these raw edges inside here will actually be hidden away when you stitch the bias tape on the final. And then I'm just gonna cut it here so there is a slight overlap, and then that's done. So that's the bias tape on all around the neck opening. And now to actually make it look nice, we need to fold it in. So yeah, this is of course where all the loose threads were from the seam ripping before. That looks bad, but they will be taken away later. But anyways, I'm going to show it to you here because here it looks nicer. So when you have a bias tape like this, you can fold it in so there's still a little bit of bias tape peeping out, a tiny little bit, or you can fold it in so none of the bias tape is peeping out. That's up to you. I think I'm going to make it with the tiniest little bias tape line peeping out. And I've got yellow thread in my sewing machine so you can see where I'm sewing. Of course, maybe matching thread is better. just got to be sure that you're actually sewing the bias tape in place. So if you unfold here, you can see, oh my God, I actually haven't got it. Ah, okay. I need to be a little bit closer. So you can move your foot, or you, like the sewing machine foot, or you can move the needle here. I'm gonna take this other thread up later. I'm just not gonna do it now. So you can see I'm now sewing, stitching much closer to the edge, which means that my seam will catch on the bias tape. So the bias tape will be held in place and won't flap up. So that's fine. And now beautiful, like there's two seams next to each other and one of them just stops all of a sudden. Yeah. That was the first seam we started with. That didn't actually hold the bias tape in place all the way around. So on the other one, we went closer to the edge, and that now has the bias tape. And that doesn't look too good. I think my sewing machine needs a checkup of some kind. But that's on the back. Nobody cares about the back. That's the neck. And the neck opening made with bias tape. And now this is actually ready to put the two layers, the two tiers onto, and the widest one goes in the bottom, so this is the middle one, and now this is the fun bit, because we have an opening that's this wide, and then we have the skirt bit that's this wide, and these two now have to be put together. So what I normally do is just I put this inside it, and yeah, I want this side over here where the two bits of green are. So I'm putting in wonder clip. And you can stitch this by hand or on the machine with the loose seam. So you can kind of you can pull at the seam, and then you can ruffle the fabric on the skirt part. That's quite a good technique actually, but that's not what I'm going to do now. I'm just gonna put it on with clips, and then I'm just gonna ruffle it as I go along. So you can see here, I put clips on the two sides of the top, and then there is all that fabric on the front and all that fabric on the back that needs to be distributed evenly here. So basically you can put it down like this. You can see, oh, a little bit of ruffle there, a little bit of ruffle here, here, here. That we need a little bit more here, then we need to even it out a little bit. Okay, so basically that's what I always do. It's not to everybody's taste. I think it works quite all right, and then you have to, of course, make sure as you sew that you adjust it also as you go along, to not suddenly have like one side has got all the ruffles and the other side is flat. But it's quick, it's fun. I'm just going to do one side first. And be careful with your fingers, of course, when you're ruffling this on the go. Just a little bit of ruffles or gatherings here and there. And if I manage to distribute these ruffles evenly, I'll probably go over this with the serger afterwards, just to make the edges look nice. Okay, that was one side. And I kind of made it to my wonder clip mark without missing any ruffles anywhere. So, as you can see, ruffles everywhere, no flat places. That's really good. The same for the other side. Find the middle of this, put a wonder clip on, distribute some ruffles. Ruffles, ruffles. Like this. Ooh. Watch your fingers if you're doing this at home. Please watch your fingers. And the last bit. Okay. Ruffles are on. And this is actually also quite a cool length if you don't have 15 bandanas but only have 9. Maybe I'll just keep it like this.
Can you try on?
Actually, hey guys, it's not that I don't want to show you the rest of this dressmaking, but I think I'm going to keep it like this a little bit before I add the extra layer, because this is cool for winter with a pair of leggings or a pair of jeans. I might add the extra layer when it's summer again, but yeah, I'll just add these, add the finishing touches to this. What is it? Basically, you can, okay, this is not very good because this is not a straight bandana. This was not even on both sides. So, you know, I'm gonna cut this bit off and then fold this up and then stitch this on a little bit nicer. And I'm gonna do the same with the bottom here because we have all these serger seams, and I'm gonna cut the thread off and I'm gonna fold this up as well and stitch this. So then I'll try it on afterwards. So see you. So yay, this is the dress done. And yes, I still decided to not do the bottom layer, the bottom tier, and just stick with this one. It was actually longer than I thought. So good thing that you can always change your mind as you go along. And I'm quite happy with it. Like the half bandana sleeves work well compared to if they've been long, or if they've been whole. I think they would have been too long. And yes, I've just folded up the bottom and given it 2 stitches just to make sure that this didn't flap down, and just folded this up and gave it 1 stitch. So basically, very quick and easy dress to make, and I'm very happy with it. I'm sorry for all the mistakes and alterations along the way, but that's what you get when you make live sewing TV. So thanks for watching, and I'm hoping that you will watch another time again. So bye bye.